All right, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today I'm joined by my friend Jalen. He's been my friend for a couple years now. He's my roommate currently and just a recent NIU grad. And if you didn't know, he's also a Jeopardy genius. So today I'm joined by Jalen. And I just wanted to know, Jalen, what have you been up to lately?
First of all, thanks for having me. I know you just recently said I'm a college graduate, but just kind of chilling for the most part, seeing where job offers open in various places on where I want to live. So just getting ready for that kind of stuff, but just kind of chilling for the most part, and just relaxing, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to take it back a little bit. Just a question off the top of my head I can think of, because I remember the first time, not the first time we met, but I know because we met rushing a frat, and I didn't think my intentions, my thoughts were your first thoughts of me were you didn't like me. You probably thought I was annoying because we were both competing for that number one spot, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of, your first thoughts of me, I thought you didn't like me at all. So, I mean, take me back to when we first met, what did you think of me? And
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I didn't like you. I just didn't really, for most of the other guys in our class, I just didn't really know you. So, in the process of rushing in the fraternity, I just, try to learn people as well as I can. And, after having to do, philanthropy and other kind of bonding stuff with the other guys in your class, I just kind of feel like we kind of grew together because, we're both into sports and, just kind of stuff like that. We didn't really, like the party or that, just stuff like that. So, I wouldn't say that I didn't like you because actually, obviously we're friends and we live together now. So, but yeah, I wouldn't say there was any animosity towards you because I feel like we got along pretty well from wherever we started. So.
Yeah, you just before that question, you were talking about your recent grad, and you majored in marketing, right? And what advice would you give someone trying to pursue that career path? Do you even know what you want to do with your marketing degree?
Yeah, so basically so I'm majoring in marketing, and probably the number one advice I would probably give to someone who wants to do something in the marketing field is have a vision of just being creative, because I don't honestly, me being a marketing major, I don't know where any job opportunities are specifically going to open in that field, but if you're creative, I feel like there's going to be plenty of opportunities in that field, because marketing compared to other majors in the business field, that's kind of like the one where it kind of allows you to be more creative, and that's why I liked doing it in the first place, because comparing that to accounting or finance or just other majors in the business field where it's kind of set in stone, do this and that stuff on a calculator. Marketing, I kind of feel like allows you to do kind of gives you the most opportunity to do things the way you kind of want to do them, kind of gives you the opportunity to be creative. So
Yeah, I know you were talking about maybe moving out to Arizona and pursuing, your career out there. Talk about why you think Arizona's a place for you compared to Illinois.
Yeah, so Arizona's been a place that I've kind of been, looking at for a while now, places that I kind of want to move. It's kind of funny because I have never actually been to Arizona, but just kind of the stuff I see online and pictures of it, and just kind of the facts that I see. It's just kind of a place I want to live because, obviously the weather, but, I kind of want to do stuff, outdoorsy stuff like that, just kind of, mountain hiking, stuff like that, doing outdoor walks and stuff like that. And I just kind of feel like living in Illinois currently, we live in DeKalb, but, especially in places like Chicago, I'm not sure if it gives you that same opportunity to do the things that I kind of want to do. And obviously the weather here is not the most ideal. So yeah, Arizona's been kind of a place that I've been eyeing for a while now.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you were just talking about hiking and going on trails and all that in Arizona. And I know another one of your passions is photography, what you're trying to get into, specifically like that 35 millimeter, disposable camera. You just recently started your disposable page. Hopefully that goes well. I'll definitely link that down below. But talk about why you've got into the photography in the first place, and you're just starting it up, and why you think specifically 35 millimeter photography is better than just the current photography like that we see today.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny for me because I wouldn't say that there was even like really a point where it was kind of just like saying, yeah, I'm really into photography now. Just kind of something that I've kind of grasped more and more into it. The more I kind of see videos of it online and the kind of cool things you can do with photography. So more specifically looking at like disposable cameras or 35 millimeter films, I just kind of like that a little bit more because it kind of gives you that kind of vintage look. I kind of like the how do I say it? I kind of like how it kind of looks.
The aesthetic.
I kind of like the aesthetic that kind of presents compared to just the kind of photos that are presented on an iPhone. I just kind of like how a disposable picture kind of looks more. And obviously, since the disposable camera is just one click, I feel like that just kind of works a little bit better and stuff. How we've been to parties where people just, you take a picture of us and you end up spending like 20 minutes on it. I like how a disposable camera, just one click, you can't really see the picture until you process it later. Then you can just kind of move on. So that's kind of the big reasons why I kind of like that kind of aesthetic in disposable cameras.
Do you have like a person, like a photographer you look up to specifically, or someone's like aesthetic you're trying to mimic or mirror?
I wouldn't say it was necessarily a photography person, but everyone knows David Dobrik and how he has a lot of disposable cameras and how he has his disposables page on David's Disposables. So he's not necessarily a photographer from a professional aspect, but I just kind of like how he kind of uploads these kind of quick moments that he has with his great friends, and you can obviously tell that they're great moments, even though it's only a picture when you scroll through that Instagram feed. So I just kind of like how that aesthetic obviously works, and I just kind of like how it's kind of presented to us as the audience.
Yeah, that's true. Do you feel like David, like in general, like brought back disposable cameras and that like aesthetic with his disposable page and his Dispo app? Do you feel like he brought that back in general?
Yeah, I really think he do, because you just mentioned it, his Dispo app, he raised close to $1 billion on it, so it kind of shows that people can see the vision of it, because I think he said it can be kind of like an app that can eventually replace Instagram one day. I kind of like how he kind of does things from that kind of perspective, because I think a lot of people our age range are kind of making their own like small photography pages where they can upload these quick little moments on even if it's not disposable apps. They can upload these photos that they take on their regular phones or just other kind of devices. I feel like especially for our age range, there's a lot of people who can see the vision in what David is doing.
True. And David was recently canceled, so do you think that's going to affect the way you see photography? Because he was a big inspiration for you in the disposable field, so do you think that's going to affect you in any way, or just in general, like it's going to affect the disposable picture game in general? Because he was a big part, as you said, in bringing it back. So I just want to hear your thoughts about is this going to affect you or your journey in photography?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't think so, but I probably won't end up using the Dispo app that he specifically created, because just because of the allegations that are revolving around him right now, I don't necessarily think I want to support something if just with everything that's going on around him right now. But I still have just the regular disposable camera, so even if it's not the Dispo app that he created, I can still just take those kind of pictures on the regular disposable cameras. So I feel like I can still kind of do both things and not supporting his Dispo app with his allegations and things, but still having those opportunities to create the moments that I am kind of seeking out right now.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I know another one of your passions recently has been sports, and not recently, but for a while, like a long time, you've grown up on sports, and specifically, you've like found basketball to be more of like an art form than rather a game. These past couple of years, and whether it be statistics or just watching like as many games as you can, talk about where your love for basketball came.
Yeah, I think it's actually kind of crazy because I honestly couldn't even tell you because I just kind of feel like I just started watching basketball like a few years ago and just I just really got into it because one of the big memories I have of recent is watching LeBron in the 2016 finals, overcoming the 3-1 lead against the Warriors. So yeah, that's kind of the most recent memory I have, most significant memory I have of getting into sports. But yeah, even not talking about the NBA or even basketball, I've always been, a big sports fan. Just, watching the NFL or just college sports in general. Just, it kind of goes through my family as well because my parents are both big sports fans, and I obviously wear a lot of sports teams, their kind of gear and memorabilia, that kind of stuff. So, even not even just talking about the NBA, so just kind of like sports in general, I just kind of, enjoy watching all of it. So
I know you grew up playing football, and I know you still follow football today. Do you think football, like high school football, changed you at all in general? Did it make you did it discipline you? Did it help you become the man you are today?
yeah, I would definitely say that it would because, just how, football coaches drill things into you, into, working together, teamwork, being unselfish. That's something that's so prevalent today in becoming, an adult and, soon to be college graduate. So I can really see how football has changed my life for the better because, I can start to look at things in the bigger picture, not start to be so selfish and myself, and kind of look at things in the bigger picture of, how can I help other people achieve things that might also help to achieve my goals. So I just feel like football's been really good for me in the kind of lessons and life lessons that it's really benefited to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. And jump back to basketball, but recently the NBA went through the bubble, and I know you were a big fan of the bubble. It was just a big, almost AAU tournament where all the guys are almost living together and just showing up to games. Talk about how you think that affected the game of basketball, like overall the NBA as a whole, because at the same time it was COVID, we had Black Lives Matter and a bunch of other stuff just going on. 2020 was a crazy year, and yet the NBA still chose to put on a season. Give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different avenues I can go around this, and I know not necessarily all the listeners are big sports fans, but to keep it short, the best teams that did the best in the bubble, there were teams that were together for many years. Look at the Boston Celtics, that team was together for many years. The Miami Heat, that team was together for many years. The Denver Nuggets, that team was together for many years, and everyone knows what LeBron James can do towards improving a team. So it just kind of goes to show that the bubble really benefited those teams that had good team chemistry and really bonded together, because you can just kind of see through their hard work and team chemistry on the court and off the court. So
True. And jump back to your photography. I just thought of another question, but you said you were a marketing major, you just graduated, and you did start your disposable page. Do you think how can you market your disposable page, as a marketing major to, help grow your page as overall? Because I know it's just recent, and this is probably the first time people are probably hearing of it. It hasn't been promoted much by you because you just started it the other day, but it's a recent venture of yours. And as a marketing major, what can you do? What lessons can you give people in general on promoting, social media and upcoming businesses?
yeah, so just for my personal disposables page, I'm not sure if I necessarily want it to be, for business reasons. It's just kind of something recreational that I just enjoy doing on my own. It's not necessarily even being done to make money. It's just something that I enjoy doing, just to upload pictures. But that type of influencer kind of page can be very influential in marketing or advertising. So if, we mentioned already, but Davis Disposables, if he posts a picture of a brand or like a billboard or something, a lot of people will think about that, potentially for the rest of the day and night. It might entice them to, buy from that company. So, for example, if David takes a disposable of his Chick-fil-A meal, then he just said, yeah, this, in the caption is, yeah, this is really good. Then he uploads it to his disposables page that has millions of followers. It might influence, people to, go to Chick-fil-A now instead of, because, people might have been hungry or not even hungry, but now since they saw that picture, their brain triggers and they think, oh yeah, he just posted about Chick-fil-A, and now I'm really kind of thinking about it right now. So that kind of sounds really good right now. So they might influence a lot of people to, go to places there, and it can really have that kind of influence if done properly. So
Yeah, I mean, that's really true, and that's kind of helpful, just in general. And over the past couple years, we've watched a lot of movies. We've had a routine where we watch a lot of movies every night, and specifically we've really got it into the Marvel movies. Talk about, do you like the Marvel movies? Has that something that's grown on you, and can you see yourself watching that in the future?
yeah, I definitely can. I can say that the reason I've kind of been wanting to get into it more because, I'm in a group chat with some of my friends from hometown, and they're kind of big Marvel fans, and when they're kind of talking about it in our group chat, I can't really. Back then, I couldn't really contribute anything. Just because it's a fun conversation, I couldn't really add anything to it. But as they kind of talked about it more and more, kind of made me more interested into learning about those kind of things, and learning about all the superheroes in the Marvel universe in general, and crazy theories, fun theories, things along those lines. But yeah, I can say that the Marvel universe and just that in total is something that I'm very interested in, because you and I pretty much watched most of the movies in the series, and we watched what's it called, the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
We watch that series together every week when an episode is released. So yeah, I can say that I am a really big fan now, and I really like where they are going as a company and as a brand.
Yeah, me too. Personally, I've always been into superhero movies in general, whether it be DC, Marvel, and I really like what Disney has been doing with Marvel when they acquired them, and they've just been doing tremendous for the brand, whether getting the rights back to Spider-Man and having Tom Holland kill it as Spider-Man, and the recent Disney Plus series that are doing really good. I mean, those Disney Plus series are just basically little mini movies.
And I have a question for you based on that, because we watch all those movies together, and you've been a big advocate for being like a Captain America fan. I just kind of wonder what makes you a Captain America fan, and why is that? Why is he your favorite superhero of all the Marvel characters?
I wouldn't say Captain America is my favorite superhero of the Marvel universe, but I just like what Captain America stands for, and he's just I think if you watch the Marvel movies, I think Ultron said it best, God's righteous man, and he was just
Right.
Just a normal all-American dude just trying to do what's right and what he was taught, and he doesn't like bullies. If you've seen the first Captain America movie, he's like, I don't like bullies. That was his whole thing. So he doesn't want to kill anybody, he just wants to stop the bullies, and I think that's a great lesson for kids to learn all throughout the world. And it's just you can take lessons from these movies, and I know growing up I took lessons from these movies, and they helped me shape me who I am today, whether it be watching Captain America or Spider-Man or Iron Man, and how all these characters overcome adversity and just make a big turnaround and affect the lives of the people around them. So yeah, I've just been a really big fan of Marvel growing up. So yeah, I mean, I know specifically we haven't just watched Marvel movies. We've getting into like cinematic stuff, like Christopher Nolan. I know you're a big fan of Nolan movies, and he recently came out with Tenet, and at first I thought it was a little bit confusing. Talk about what you thought about Tenet.
Yeah, I just kind of like Christopher Nolan movies more specifically, because I like the idea that he puts in his movies, and I like his movies because he has like a different gear in his movies, and you can tell like the idea or premise around his movies are much different than the standard movies. The standard movie has like the regular old plot, but more specifically talking about Tenet, there's a lot of time travel time travel, going into the future, going back in the past, and part of the confusion is why I enjoyed it. That's kind of it's kind of confusing to say, but me being confused throughout the movie is kind of a reason why I enjoyed it. I don't like those the bland movies that are just kind of like regular, but yeah, I can say that I really like Christopher Nolan movies a lot because just as I said before, I just kind of like how he kind of does things and the ideas that he kind of brings into the cinematic movies. So I just kind of like how he does his films.
Have you explored any other directors? Like, do you like Tarantino, Steven Spielberg, any other guys you think are pretty good?
Yeah, I'm by no definition a movie expert. I'm just kind of watching movies that I just kind of find interesting. Yeah, I like all directors. I don't really have any directors that I dislike. I just kind of like whatever movie's on or it kind of looks good. I'll click on that to watch. So yeah, I like all those guys. I'm sure I can like any movies that they have created. So yeah, I like all the directors and movies that they have come up with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Nolan too. Ever since he did the Batman series, and I thought the way he directed it and his vision for it really portrayed Batman in a really realistic way, and especially the way Christian Bale played Batman, arguably one of the best Batmans. And talk about like, do you like the Batman series?
Yeah. So just saying again, I'm not by no means a movie expert. I'm just speaking off of preference. Yeah, I really enjoyed those movies. You see me in my room watching the series, a few times. So yeah, I really like how the movie's done, how they, again, how Christopher Nolan does his movies, and I just kind of like how everything was set into motion. Yeah, I like how the plot kind of elevates into other plots, and I just kind of like the movie and the series in general. So.
And jumping around a little bit again, I also know you really love podcasts. I know you've been listening to them for a while, probably longer than anybody living with us in this house, and arguably you probably could be an expert, on all of us. I know all of us have started podcasts now in the house, most of all of us, right? And talk about, what notes could you give, like, overall to new podcast creators? And, because you've been listening for a while, what could podcasters take from your expertise from listening?
Yeah, so just as a listener who just likes to listen to podcasts, the probably number one tip I would probably give to someone who wants to start their own podcast is talk about stuff you actually want to talk about and stuff you find interesting, because, as a listener, you can really tell when people who host a podcast are talking about, topics that they aren't really too invested in. So talk about stuff. I would recommend that someone talk about stuff that they're really passionate about. Don't talk about stuff or like issues that if you don't really feel, some type of way about them. So I would really say talk about things you really care about and you really could have like lengthy discussions about, because that's what your listeners really want to talk about. And if you do talk about stuff you're really passionate about, that's what is really going to last in the long run for people who have their own or starting their own podcast.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I know personally, I'm a really big Joe Rogan fan. I really like his conversation style of podcast, and that's what I'm aiming for in this podcast. And he's just a really good talker. He's really engaged. He's really intelligent. He knows what he's talking about. And I just want to know, what are your thoughts on like podcasters in general? Like, how can someone be a better, not conversationalist, but listener to their guests when they have someone on?
Yeah, so I would just say that, I think Joe Rogan does it perfectly. He may not know a person. The first time someone walks through those doors, it might be the first time he actually talks to them. But, just creating a sense of conversation, a sense of, flow in the conversation, and, having set topics that you guys want to talk about. Because, I just feel like if you guys don't have like a list of stuff that you guys want to, sort of hit on, it doesn't necessarily have to be bullet points, but, just a general frame of things you guys want to talk about that can create a sense of conversation. You can take that in many different avenues, but, yeah, that's just something I would probably say for that.
Who are your favorite podcasters?
Just sports in general. I won't necessarily say I have a favorite podcast person, but I just kind of listen to whatever I'm kind of feeling that day, whether it's, whether it's just something sports related or just people talking about stuff in their daily lives or just something, comedy related, just something, just something along those lines. I don't really necessarily have a favorite podcast or it's just something like that.
So, as a marketing major, I know going into college, personally for me, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be an engineering major or anything else. And I know you're a marketing major. And I just want to talk about, is marketing, has it always been like something you looked to as a kid? Or is there something you have a dream job and that you're shooting for after college now that you have your whole life ahead of you? And do you plan on maybe going back to school or pursuing a different career or pursuing something in marketing? Because, we're still young and we're having the time of our lives right now. And you plan on moving, across the country maybe in the next couple months or so when you can find something. But talk about, what is marketing a plan for Jalen Washington?
Yeah, I would say so because, even before attending NIU or deciding what college I wanted to go to, I knew that marketing was going to be the major for me because, as we talked about before, I just kind of like how marketing gives you a sense of creativity that other, majors don't necessarily give you. So, yeah, marketing's always been something I kind of been thinking about something to be a part of just because, I like the creativity of it and, being able to do things from my perspective and being able to be more hands-on about it. I haven't decided yet if I want to go to grad school to further pursue a higher education in marketing. Just kind of deciding weighing the pros and cons of going to grad school versus just getting a regular job out of undergrad college. So just kind of weighing the pros and cons of that and seeing where potential opportunities may lay. So.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I know you hit me with the question, why do I like Captain America? Why is he one of my favorites? And I want to hit you back. I know you're a big Iron Man guy. Why do you like Iron Man?
Yeah, I kind of like Iron Man for the exact opposite reason you like Captain America. I like Iron Man and Tony Stark just because he kind of does things his own way. And he kind of plays by his own rules and he doesn't let people tell him what to do. He just kind of does whatever he feels like, and that can lead to negative consequences. But for the most part, I just kind of feel like it's been overwhelmingly positive because how he just kind of saves the world at the end of Endgame. Spoiler alert. But I just kind of like how Tony kind of operates in his own kind of world, quote unquote. But yeah, I just kind of like how Tony kind of does things his own way, and he doesn't really have someone just tell him what to do. He just kind of is his own person, and that's something that I really enjoy about him.
Yeah, being a big Marvel guy myself, seeing that last scene in Endgame when Iron Man said, "I am Iron Man," then snapped his fingers and, just basically sacrificed himself and just
spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler. For the, for the sake of the universe, I thought that was like a really powerful scene. Seeing that in like theaters, like before COVID, I was like, whoa, what just happened? Like, I wanted to see it again. And that was a long movie. It was a really long movie. But that last scene, just seeing, him snap his fingers and Spider-Man coming up to him and just, trying to console him. And then, Pepper Potts going up to him and seeing him die. And then at the next scene, everybody goes to his funeral. Just to know that the impact that Iron Man had, not only on the people he saves, but on, his friends, and to show that he really was a leader, and he was one of the leaders of that team. So, I mean, I just got to say, Iron Man is arguably one of the best characters in the Marvel cinematic universe at the moment. And also, Disney Plus is also doing, a bunch of other, side shows like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and recently they're going to come out with Loki coming up in the next month or so. Talk about, do you plan on watching the Loki show? Because, he is arguably right now a villain. So do you plan on watching a villain show?
Yeah, just to make it short, I definitely plan on to watch all of the shows that they have coming out just because it kind of adds all the puzzle pieces together into creating the entire universe and putting it all together. So, I intend to watching that series and every other series that they eventually plan on coming out.
I mean, yeah, that's really good. I mean, that's pretty much all I got for you. Unless you have any questions for me, then I'm pretty much done.
How was your day today?
I mean, it was good. went to work, made a TikTok. Follow me on TikTok. Trying to get my followers up, but yeah, work is work. Trying to strive for a living. Hopefully, these 9-to-5s are no longer soon to be over with, and make a career out of myself. And I always think about at night, what if I could become a Marvel movie character. I think that'd be a dope idea. Just audition for a Marvel character. I think that would really skyrocket my career if I ever wanted to be an actor. So anybody from Marvel listening, probably not. Hit me up.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Thanks for joining me, and appreciate it, Jalen.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Peace out, y'all. Follow me on socials, and yeah, see you next week.